video is recording. Obviously, I get this figured out here. That will go off. All right, that's just the smell good stuff. Don't worry about that, all right? That will go off on its own. But
Mark's building, we need it.
Yeah, we need it, exactly. There's a lot of things in the Mark's building that people don't know still reside here. So I got to make sure at least. It'll start smelling good. It'll smell like, I think it's Cashmere Woods is
nice.
Name of the Smell Good brand that's going to be coming through that for a second. So I'm fired up, though. Hello, everyone. I'm Ethan Schmidt. This is an episode of Talking Schmidt. It is our sports podcast. I'm doing something for the first time ever. I'm getting a chance to sit down and chat with a couple members, one member of the Governor's softball team, and I'm getting to talk with our communications director. Yes, right, Alex? Is that the correct title?
Communications director, SID, whatever you want to say. It's all the same.
Yeah, absolutely. You are, and what year is this for you, Alex?
This is year 4 in the SID department.
Okay. And you have been, but you were also working as a student too, right?
Yeah, I was a student for a year and a half, 2 years.
And so this is kind of important, though, because you're here today because we have a member of probably the best team on campus right now. I don't think there's
the best team on campus.
There's not
Don't quote me.
a doubt about it. I'll quote you on it. I'm quoting myself on it.
Do it.
So hello, everyone. Joining us, Kylie Campbell. Hello, Miss Kylie Campbell. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I'm fired up to have you here. We were talking about this team. We're talking about the softball team first and foremost. When I first sat down to do this and I wanted to talk to someone about like bringing in the show and bringing in athletes, I think the first name that we had on the list that Alex and I had was Kylie Campbell. And I think that's because of just what you've meant for this program over your entire career, not to just make you sound like, we're not trying to just make you feel really good today, but if that works, that's what we want. But we're fired up to have you here, Kylie, for certain. Let's talk about this softball team first and foremost. Let's jump right out there. Record-breaking softball team right now. First ever win over a ranked Division I opponent in FAU earlier this year, and at one point for about an hour and a half, the nation's longest win streak. Obviously, that game didn't go the way we all wanted it to as Governors fans, but take us through this season. What's been different about this Governors team?
Absolutely. This team is by far different than anything that I've been a part of, especially here, which is pretty cool to see, especially for my senior season. I would say that this team is just the silly, goofy people that you never would expect to be successful. If you see us anywhere else, we probably look like the Bad News Bears, probably more of a dancing team than a softball team. But then you put us on the field, and we were really good at competing, We can really swing it. So I'd say this team is great.
What's been obviously for Coach Stanfield, one of my favorite coaches that I get to interact with, what was kind of her message going into the season, I guess, for y'all? What did she say first and foremost about the team and what to expect from this team, I guess?
Absolutely. Coach K, by far the best coach on campus. Definitely biased, but I love Coach K. She said that we have stuff to prove this year. We all have a bunch of chips on our shoulders. We have some transfers that have years to prove it. There's nothing like having a chip on your shoulder and no one's expecting anything from you. We got ranked pretty low in preseason, and it's just Coach K's that's perfect. Actually, we love nothing more than to be the underdogs this season.
Absolutely. And you guys have done a fantastic job of making sure that people recognize the name, recognize the talent, recognize who you are. You drew a lot of national attention, still drawing a lot of national attention in everything that you're doing. So I think the big thing for me, I want to go in, and I know we talked about the season, but I want to start with 96 South Carolina, Kylie Campbell. That's where I want to go back to talk to you a little bit about that. My favorite hometown to announce on all the ESPN Plus broadcasts because I'd never heard it. And I want to tell you, this is probably one of the funniest moments I've ever had on air. I said 96 South Carolina, and I pulled up my phone to try to figure out where it's close to. Mm-hmm. Nowhere.
Nothing.
There's no major city super close. I couldn't use the map to try to figure out where exactly 96 South Carolina is. So for those of the Governors fans who are listening to this, tell us where 96 South Carolina is and best reference for you, but then also what is it like growing up in a town like 96?
That's So the best way to describe it is it's the middle of nowhere. So you got Greenville above us, about an hour, Columbia below us, about an hour, and Augusta about an hour to the west of us. So we're essentially in the middle of nowhere, not close to the interstate, about 45 minutes closest to the interstate. So if you're going to get there, you're going to have to want to go 296. But the drawing point is that Lake Greenwood is in 96. So a bunch of people know about it just from Lake Greenwood. But essentially there's nothing there. We have 2 stoplights, a really good Mexican restaurant, and a whole lot of churches. So the only school district is 96. No one ever believes that you're from 96 unless you're from like Saluda or one of the surrounding small cities. And so growing up there was very difficult because whenever you say you're from 96, people are like, not the zip code. No, it's 96. And they're like, well, how do you write that? And I'm like, well, if you want to make it short, you put the numbers, but if you want to find it anywhere, you'll spell it out. It's 96, South Carolina. Yep. Zip code happens to be 29666. So, really throws people off. Growing up there, there's nothing there. I grew up on a farm, so I just spent a lot of time outside on the farm. My dad thought the only acceptable way was for us to figure out where our food comes from, which brought me into what my career is going to be. We grew essentially all of our own food, so it was pretty cool. Very hard to play competitive softball, though, when you live in the middle of nowhere. We spent a lot of time driving to bigger cities. I started playing 10U out of Greenville, so we committed a lot of time to driving. And then whenever I got really serious and I said I want to play Division I, we ended up driving to Atlanta every weekend to get recruited. So I ended up joining this team out of Atlanta, practicing every Sunday out of Atlanta. Ended up staying with my head coach and his family most of the summer to try to get recruited. And somehow ended up at Austin P and haven't looked back since.
Alex, when you were first writing down and asking, because obviously I know you've been around softball for a while, you and obviously Chris Austin, Sarge, for you, when you saw 96 South Carolina, what did you think?
Man, I just knew that was yeehaw country. I mean, it was the same thing. I started working around the softball team my junior year of college. Just kind of sitting up in the press box and helping Sarge, Chris Austin. And I just remember the PA guy, whoever it was, would be like, hey, 96 South Carolina. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what? I mean, I'm basically from Hopkinsville, Kentucky at the end of the day. So it's but Hoptown is a big city compared to 96.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
I love it though.
Yeah. So Kylie, again, one of the things that sticks out to me is obviously this all makes sense to me now because, watching you play softball, you immediately get injected into the lineup as a freshman. You are and you play with a lot of really good players. So I know you'll talk about some of those players here in a second, but to get immediately injected into that lineup and then to continue to be undeniable, is that because of what you went through at such a young age to even get recruited?
I would say so. You realize how valuable your time is and how much you really have to work if you want to be somewhere. Coach K always jokes that I have the blue-collar mentality, and everything I do kind of reflects that. She's like, well, you're not scared of the ball, and it's because you're blue-collar. It always could be worse. And I'm like, yeah, you're not wrong. And so my dad was always like, if you're going to go somewhere to play, you're not going to suck. Come on. You got to be a little bit better. You got to compete. And so every time I step on the field, it's like, I'm here to compete. That's what at the end of the day, this is my job. This is what I'm supposed to excel at. So I'm not going to settle for being mediocre.
And Dad's right. I mean, you're a two-time ASUN preseason team. You're on an OVC team. You're still the last holdover from the Ohio Valley Conference, which most people don't realize that. I think out of all of our teams, you are the last piece that connects us there. Not to make you feel
you're right.
Not to make you, but that's a cool thing to I like to mention that you're the last piece that we had because you started on teams with some really, really good players.
Absolutely.
Talk about kind of some of those players that helped mentor you. Obviously, I know, on the coaching staff, you have one of the greatest of all time to ever put on a Governor's uniform in Danny Learman. But some of those players that you play with, Lexi Osowski-Anderson, one of the greatest ever put on the uniform. What's it like to be a part of that team? But not to take away from you because your name is synonymous with them. 100%, you will go down as one of the greatest to ever put on a Governor's softball uniform. There's no doubt about it in my mind. But talk a little bit about that mentorship that they had.
Absolutely. So it's actually really funny. Coming in as a freshman from BFE, you kind of are a little overwhelmed And so Coach Bree at the time was like, well, Kylie, like what do you want from your career? And I was like, well, I want to be like dangerous. Like I want to be a full-on triple threat. Like I want to be able to swing it. Like I don't have a swing essentially right now, but like I'll do whatever you say. Like if you say do a backflip, I'll do a backflip. Like what do I need to do to be great? And she was like, all right, I'll take that. Like let's go. So at the same time, Lexi's actually my roommate. So talk about mentorship. I spend every day with greatness. And so she was like, yeah, like I want to be an All-American. Like I want to be player of the year. I want to be an All-American. Like let's go. So we kind of went into this little thing together, even though we're completely opposite players. You know, she's a very traditional third baseman, baller, just a righty hitter. And I'm like this little misfit that you just put wherever. I'm a slapper hitter. You never know what's going to come. But we ended up spending hours and hours on end in the cages trying to figure out our swings and everything like that. And Lexi's hitting doubles off the wall and everything, and I'm hitting singles and then a random home run and then a triple here and double there. And Lexi looks at me at one point and she's like, well, you know, if you want to be great, you'll hang around great. Like if you want to be somewhere great, like you're going to surround yourself with great people. So as a freshman, I spent my entire season with seniors and fifth years. The fifth year class ended up taking me in. So that's like Brooke Pfefferly, Katie Keene, Emily Harker Road, and a bunch of those. Like, just was like, yeah, you know what, Kylie, come on. And so it was pretty cool to see that, like, it didn't matter that I was 18 spending all my time with 22 and 23-year-olds. But it was more of just like, yeah, you know what, you're a little baller. Like, come on, like, let's go. And I remember my opening weekend which was whenever I got OBC Player of the Week. I just went off, and everybody's like, did you know you were going to be this good? I was like, well, when you're batting seventh in the lineup, you get a lot of fatties. Like, it's really easy to be this good. Like, they're not scared of a freshman. And they're like, you just hit a grand slam in your opening weekend of, like, Division I ball. Like, no one does that. I'm like, wow, like, this is cool. Like, we're winning, guys. Like, this is so much fun. And they're like, oh, like, you don't even know what your career is going to hold. So I feel like just having that experience where, like, seniors and fifth years were just, like, hyping me up, like, yeah, let's go. It was wonderful.
Do you feel for you now, because of having that initial kind of respect from the older teammates, do you feel that that's something you reciprocate? Are you, like, aiming to be that type of person for this team as well?
Absolutely. We were just talking about that yesterday. Jade Castillo looked at me and she said, Kylie, our question of the day was like, what's an environment that you feel like you thrive in? So I asked Jade that and she answered that about me, and she looked at me and she said pressure. Like whenever I think about Kylie Campbell, I would say that anything that's supposed to be a pressure situation you take and it doesn't even look like you feel any pressure and you just like go with it. She was like, I just like strive to be like that. And like this senior class, I don't even know if like it'll be the same next year without you guys. Like there's just the environment that y'all have created is just so beautiful. And it's like that's what I've strived for my entire career, to make sure that like whenever people got in here that they felt like Austin Peay's home. Like this is where you want to come to play softball. And especially for a head coach like Coach K and like the coaching staff that we have is just like phenomenal. Like if you ever needed help, like they're helping you on or off the field. So I'm glad that this like freshman class can feel it.
That's fantastic. Alex, you get to cover this team, and like you said, I mean, you've been covering the softball program for quite a while. What's the difference, do you feel, from Team 40 to what you've seen over the past couple years?
Man, you know, I've heard Coach K get asked this a lot too, so I'm going to try not to completely steal her answer. But, you know, like I said, I started working around this team my junior-ish year of college, and just seeing what Austin Peay softball is under Cassie Stanfill is different than any other team on campus. And that's not to take anything away from any program at Austin Peay, but it's just different. And then, so I get the chance to travel with the team for the first time last year, and I'm like, man, like, this is a lot of fun. Like, the girls are all, like, bubbly, giddy, laughing around, you know, pregame, postgame, all that. But then you get to this year, and it's like the first trip I was able to go on was the Furman Classic. And I walk in the hotel room at like 11 o'clock at night after traveling with basketball. And then I get there. I see everybody the next morning. And it's just like, oh, hey, Alex, what's up? Da, 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 da. And then just to see them in person, you know, we go on the field. It was a great tournament. You know, you sweep the weekend. But it's just like the demeanor that this team has game in, game out, day in, day out, seeing them at practice, seeing them on bus trips right before a game. I mean, it's business, but it's fun. And I think like this team truly plays for one another. We have the best batting order in the conference. You can quote me on that one. We have
I'm quoting you on everything.
Hey,
it's recording.
Yeah, true. But like we have a phenomenal pitching staff. We have the best head coach in the conference. We have some of the best assistant coaches in the country, and it's just everybody plays for one another. The coaches are doing everything they can to help the players that are in the starting batting order, those that are pinch running, pinch hitting, and maybe even those that might not see action. I mean, everybody is truly ready every single game and has so much fun in the process.
Kylie, kind of the same question for you. What do you feel is different about Team 40 from the teams that you're used to and the teams that you've played on during your time here at Austin Peay?
I would say buying into your role. Like, we have a couple freshmen that are redshirting due to injury, which is a hard role to fill, especially like, you know, like you're dreaming of this day and you get to like season and you're not playing. And those two, Jada and Jade, both have like just embodied it. It's like the dugout is my place. Like the dugout's where like it's going to go crazy every single game. And like we're just going to keep it rolling. And it's like when you have freshmen that are able to buy in their role, it's easier to see the entire team. Then you also have like our assistant coaches and stuff like that are just buying in. Like we had coaches stay late after practice yesterday to help some of our outfielders with diving. And it's like no matter what it is, like we're buying into our role. And it's like when that happens, it's so easy to get the program really just rolling.
That's awesome. I mean, it's awesome to hear. Obviously, that's one of the things that I think kind of bleeds into like when I'm watching y'all and when I get a chance, because I probably have one of the best views in the house because I'm very on top of the press box. I'm watching from it, you know, from that spot and that angle. And I think the thing that the buy-in makes a lot of sense because one of the things that I've seen has just been like there's just like this like overwhelming like family feel. Mm-hmm. And I think that's something that it's hard to it's hard as a coaching staff to try to look at everybody and be like, yes, you're from all parts of the country. You have kids from Florida, Tennessee, South Carolina, California now with Maddie. But you guys are family. And I think that's a hard thing for like anybody to understand, but especially at the college level, because like when you realize that like, yes, these 20 people are my family because my family is 16, 24, 36 hours away. Mm-hmm. Like when you buy into that, it's definitely showing, I think, this year more than ever. Like I just see that, you know, from an outside perspective, I see that like, you know, the infield, like even with the new additions, the infield is like a unit. And it's like, it's very rare that y'all make a mistake in the infield. And then the outfield just looks like, you know, just family out there. And it's different than what I've seen from years past of kind of watching this program is just the feel of family. And talking about the new players, because you have a lot of really good new talent out there. Obviously, everyday starters like Sam Lesky and Kaylee Roper. Mm-hmm. You have Katie Raper, who's been in the outfield. You've had Sammy Sheelander, who's come in a lot in that designated player role, but there's a bunch of new freshmen. Obviously, I'm missing a bunch of them. I apologize. But what's it been like to have some of this talent that's come in from other places where, like, you can flip on film of them before they even got here, and you're like, oh, they're good. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like it's wonderful. It's really cool to see that they come here. And it's like, you don't even realize what you have here. Like, I've never once thought about transferring out because, like, Coach K and Austin Peay has just treated me so well here that it's like there's no beating Austin Peay. And these girls are coming in and are like, you have no clue. Like, I went through hell back there. Like, I would go to war for Coach K, like, take a bullet. And I'm like, I believe you. And they're like, yeah, like, my old coach, like, would have never. Like, you can call Coach K in the middle of the night and say my, like, tire just snapped, like I don't know what to do. Coach K will be there with Emmy and probably Coach Bree. So, you know, you'll get in the whole family when you come here. So it's like pretty cool to see that, you know, like you have like a second mom and like a true family here. And I feel like that's what's just absolutely like level it up. When you get like these players that are coming from programs that they just didn't feel the love in, and you have someone just absolutely pour into them, like Sam Lesky. I looked at Roper and I was like, what's gone into her? Like, she's just going crazy, you know? She's like, when someone believes in you, it's really easy to just go out there and ball. You don't even have to think about anything. And it's like, that just makes her heart happy. And you're like, well, I'm so glad that her last year is going to be spent somewhere that she can just be herself and just ball out.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I mean, I'll talk about, Sam real quick, or Alex, you can kind of talk about this as well. Her debut at Kathy Maynard Park was one of the greatest debuts that I've ever seen. From even when I was a student here, like coming to softball games, I don't remember a debut as good as hitting the home run to tie the game, to send it to extras against a team that you haven't really beat a lot at all. Ever. And then you end up hitting the sac fly walk-off. Yep. Like, is there a better debut that you can remember?
Golly, no. I mean, that's the short answer. I mean, against Middle Tennessee, too.
That's beautiful.
I mean, that's a team that we have less than 10 wins against all time in the history of Austin Peay softball. And just to be able to see that one and walk it off against them, and a new person doing it, too.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, Gov fans, by the way, this is Sam Lesky.
Yeah.
Bang.
Welcome.
Yeah, welcome.
Much appreciated. Welcome. Kylie, what's you talked about like Sam in that situation as well. To see the teams that you've been able to beat this year, where in years past probably looked at that schedule and were like, maybe we have a shot. It feels now it's been like, no. They're getting everything and then some from us this season. What's it been like to be able to look at the schedule and not look at it and be like, maybe we'll win this game? Now I think you can look at a game and be like, they better bring their A game and their A+ game or their A++ game against us.
I feel like any pitcher that has to face us, Macy was saying that this weekend, I took a lot of walks in game 1 against Central Arkansas. She's like, who are they passing the bat to? Me? You're going to pass it to Sammy Sheelander, our 6+ boss back here, or you're going to pass it to Sam Lesky, who will probably send it over the fence. Like, best of luck to you. Then you get past that, it's like, oh, you're gonna let Katie have you? Katie's got 10+ home runs. Oh, you're going to get Bree down there? She's going to hit the ball so hard, you're not going to see it. Then it's like, your best bet is to go at the top of the lineup just so you don't have to see the bottom of our lineup. So it's just like you look at the schedule and you're like, yeah, I think I'm ready for that game. I think I'm ready for any of these games.
Your guys' battle cry this year has been make some noise. Mm-hmm. I love it because you have been making a ton of noise. I think this is the first season where each game more and more humans are showing up in the stands, and that's awesome. And I hope if anybody's listening to this who hasn't been to one of your games, they come out. And I know obviously this weekend we're still with weather. We don't really know exactly what's going to happen with this weekend. We're hoping that everything goes smoothly, obviously. But to see that when you look up into the crowds and start to see like, oh, man, we have more people coming out to these games. I think Alex mentioned this at one point. This was we had the most attended game against FAU or App State, I think?
It was sometime during that tournament. I don't remember exactly what it was, but we did mark it as the highest attended game in program history.
So to know that happening this year as well. So we're not only breaking records and making a statement there, but people are coming out to watch. A lot of young fans, a lot of young softball teams coming out to watch you guys. What's that feeling been like?
Just wonderful. Like, you're hoping that you're inspiring the future generations. Like, softball is such a great game. Like, it's given me so much over the years that I feel like that I would love nothing more than the younger generations to see that. But at the end of the day, it's like they're just a little bit louder for us when we hit the home runs. We're typically doing it for us. I don't even know how many people really look up there. I know I look up in the stands a couple times just to see a couple of the mamas and see what they're looking like, the cowbells and everything like that. But I'd say it's just keep on coming. There's a lot of game left to play. Conferences, whenever it gets really gritty, I think it's nothing more better than that,
We talked about some of the new transfers that have come in, but I want to talk about some of your core teammates as well, because you have a lot of players that you've spent 3 to 4 years with, 2 to 3 seasons with, who have been here. I know even like Macy Roberts, who technically, transferred in, but has really been a part of this core team. Sam Miner, even the young players like Bree and Kylie, who have done a really fantastic job stepping into their roles as only sophomores. And then, of course, like even Raylan Roach, who's had a great start to the year for this team. And Skylar Sheridan as well, who's another fantastic person that can be injected into that lineup at any point. what's it been like to continue to have that success now with players that have bought in with you?
It's wonderful. The best way to describe it's the mudita, the pure joy that I feel whenever like they experience success. There's nothing more exciting to me than Ray getting on base, because it's like I feel like we've been here forever together, you know? Like hitting after her, it's like, yeah, let's go, Ray. Like, you know, like let's put on the punching gloves, like let's get ready, because all we got to do is get on base and someone's going to hit us in. And then, you know, you get to see Sam just shoving on the mound. It's just wonderful. And then Skylar, it's like, let's go. Like, just swing it. Like, her getting a pinch hit home run. I look at Coach K, I'm like, you feel like a genius right now or what? Like, you know, like you just can't beat that.
What's this coaching? I mean, I know you talked a little bit about it, but you've established a coaching staff that's now been together for several seasons as well. So you have like Coach Toshkoff, you have Coach Danny, Gabby. Obviously, I mean, you eject Gabby in there because she's a former player. Really, I mean, you have your new first base coach, who's the first season, but again, a Louisville grad, where your head coach is alumni of, and then of course you still have Avery with you as well. So I mean, you have this coaching staff that's been together. You have your operations that's running smoothly. Is that like a good feeling for you as well? Like, how's it feel to look around there and be like, okay, this person's been with me through the bad at-bats and the good at-bats?
Absolutely. Whenever you said family, I feel like our coaching staff rolls right into that family. I feel like Coach Danny is like my older sister, and then Coach V is like right there. You know, maybe we're twins or right above us, and then Coach Caleb, I feel like he's like an older brother, always joking with me. You know, he'll hit me with the pitch, and he'll be like, "Yeah, you know, you deserve that. You know, what else would I do to you?" And it's like Coach Gabby, like we played with her. You know, it's really cool to see that she's like shifting into this coaching role. I know that's what she's always wanted, so it's like seeing her like thrive at that. It's just so wonderful. And then Coach K is like our mom. She's like all keeping us all in check, you know. So it's pretty cool to see that we're just like really a big family, and you know. Then you get your food delivered, and Avery's like, "Hey, make sure everything's all right." And it's like you don't even like know how much we appreciate what you're doing for us, making sure that we have food and it's right, and like she just handles so much that you can't even like put it into words.
Alex, you're around the coaches in a different aspect. You're not there with player-coach kind of situation. You're there as sports information, stuff like that. So sometimes you're getting coaches at the highs and the lows. What's it been like with this coaching staff?
Man, it's been phenomenal. I mean, kind of just go off of like what Kylie said. I mean, Coach Toshkoff's my brother. I mean, we're roommates on the road. We're always joking around. I mean, after a game, win or loss, I mean, we sit there in the hotel room and we're kind of like breaking it down. And like, yes, I'm the SID. I'm also not the most knowledgeable person about softball. I didn't grow up watching baseball, softball. But it's like he and I will just sit there. We'll go back through plays. And we'll just talk and stuff like that. And then just see somebody like Gabby. I mean, she was always one of the athletes that would always come up and talk to me whenever I first started, all that kind of stuff. So I love seeing her transition. Coach Danny, always knew her as an all-time great. Yeah. And just to see her embrace this coaching role, it's one of the coolest things in the world. And then Avery and I go farther back than a lot of people on the team, because I used to cover women's basketball at Austin Peay, and she was a manager on that team. So she and I still trade those horror stories. I mean, we had some of the great. I mean, we had great times with women's basketball. We had some rough ones, but I mean, this coaching staff is phenomenal. You know, like I'll talk to Coach K after a game and be like, "Hey, you know, we're all right," or like give her like a big old hug or something like that. But it's like just being able to see both sides of everybody on this coaching staff. I mean, it's been phenomenal. They're one of the greatest staffs I could ever dream of working with.
Kylie, speaking of family, you had another Campbell on the field this year. Mm-hmm. Talk about Rangers' first pitch.
Many people don't know this, but I became a mother in COVID. Have my puppy. Everybody always, you know, they always are like, well, dogs, you can't really have a big dog. It's hard to get them controlled. Ranger learned to be controlled. He grew up on the farm. Many people say that I had a harsh method to raise him, but he is well behaved. He's a very big dog. He's like 75 pounds. But Coach K called me and was like, "Hey, could Ranger deliver the first pitch?" I was like, "Absolutely. Like, what kind of question is this?" And she's like, "All right." And then game came around, and, you know, game got moved up, a little bit of change. So, like, my mom couldn't be there. And I was like, well, like, who's gonna take care of my child? Like, I need someone to babysit. So I ended up calling Isis, Coach Danny's wife, hey, could I drop off Ranger with you? Could you bring him to the game? She's like, yeah, absolutely. I won't be able to be there during the game, but we'll find something. So I call Macy's mom. I was like, hey, could you watch Ranger during the game? She sent a text to the whole family group chat, Ranger's sitting with us during the game. So it's like really cool to see that like we could make the whole thing pan out when even my family wasn't there to help. And then he got to deliver the first pitch. Didn't go quite as we wanted. We wanted him to go like pick up the ball and take it to the circle. He was a little overwhelmed, but he did his tricks and he did them well, and he ran to Lesky. So I was really proud, but it was just really cool to see that everyone like chipped in, helped me take care of him. So, and then he got to sit up there with Macy's mom and have some really cool videos of her dancing with Ranger during the game. So, just can't beat that.
Oh man, it was really cool to see. I was super fired up to see that, and it's very rare. But I will say this much: Ranger, big spot in my heart for Ranger, because the Lipscomb players were trying to reach out, and he said, no. Absolutely not. Not sniffing
Not a
you.
traitor.
No, absolutely not. No, I bleed red and black of Austin Peay. So
absolutely.
I was fired up to see Ranger still hold true to his governor faithfulness. But that was a really cool moment, and I think, that's another thing from an outside perspective, as simple as that may sound, from an outside perspective for me, that just shows me, like, how much, like, this team is just, like, that's a really cool thing. And it's like we can incorporate Kylie, and we can incorporate like our family and something that's important to Kylie. So that's another thing for me, at least outside perspective, when I look at it, where I'm like, it's super, super cool that they, because how many people would think like, oh, we have a player on the team who has a pet on Bark in the Park Day. Let's have that go. Yeah.
Right. Like Coach K was so real for that. And then I looked at Alex. I was like, we're gonna try to get us some good pictures. Like, I hope he'll pose for you. And then he ended up running right to Alex after the pitch. And I was like, I hope he doesn't knock him over. He's running kind of fast. And so there's nothing better than knowing that Alex was like right there in it with us.
We got the photos.
Yeah, Alex, I was going to ask you about that, because as you mentioned, ran right to you. A lot of times, the players get a little bit upset with some of these action shots. Ranger won't complain.
No, he will not. I mean, I thought they were really good pictures.
Yeah,
it's like
you
get him
fantastic.
running, and then it's like I have a picture of him. I mean, maybe like a foot in front of the camera, just completely out of focus because he's too close. But I'm like, I love it. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
Kylie, you going to get those framed, hang them up?
Absolutely, 100%. They're already getting ready to get in the scrapbook for senior night.
Good. I was about to say, if Coach K is listening to this, make sure that's a part of the jersey presentation and whatnot. Oh, yeah. Make sure there's a picture of Ranger. That has to be in there, and that needs to go up in y'all's locker room at some point. That has to be up there. So. Definitely. Whatever we have to do to make that happen. If I have to pull some strings, just let me pull some strings, I guess. But Kylie, it's super fun to get a chance to talk to you. I'm honored to get to call your guys' games. I've told you all that before. I told Coach K that for the past couple years. It's just been an absolute honor to kind of be a part of this, and now to witness greatness is probably one of the coolest things that I've been able to do during my time with any Austin Peay sport. From when I was a student calling games to even now, it's been super cool to be a part of this experience, and this team is going to hold a special place in my heart for certain. Your guys' cards on my wall over there, I framed it immediately and made sure to put it up there. So it meant a lot. Can you talk about that? That's probably the last thing we kind of talk about here. So I know you got a busy day, and you're a busy human being. Talk about attitude of gratitude for us.
Absolutely. I feel like you can't even say enough like great things about Austin Peay. I feel like I've been welcomed all the way around. Alex doesn't give himself enough credit, but he's always taking pictures of all of us without even complaining. I feel like the amount of time that's been put into this program is just like, you can't even thank enough people like Miss Sarah and Jacob and Gerald and Dr. Lacari coming out to our games, and like, you just can't even thank enough people just for like buying in and really supporting us. I can't even say enough good things about this university. Just a wonderful place to be.
Awesome. Well, Kylie, I appreciate you. I appreciate your time here. Just glad that you stayed with it. I know, like you said, there's a lot of players that are coming from the portal, things like that, with horror stories of, man, don't go here, don't go, whatever, things like that. So to have somebody who stayed tried and true as a as a Governor alumni, as somebody who walked the same paths that you have on this campus, in a different capacity, obviously, but thank you for being a Governor through and through. I think that first and foremost, I just want to say that to you.
Yes, of course.
All right, any last words for the Governor's faithful out there?
Just remember, Coach K always says it, pressure is a privilege. Buy into it. It's nothing better than to have a little bit of pressure on your shoulders.
Alex, you got any final words about this softball team that you want to add in here? Obviously, we're hoping for an upcoming home series and whatnot with Bellarmine, weather permitting, and a lot of situations. We're still on the fly about that, but anything you want to add here?
Man, just come on out. Austin Peay softball is the best story in college softball. I mean, whether you're in Nashville, up in Kentucky, West Tennessee, wherever, come on out. Sport Team 40. It's special.
Absolutely. All right, well, we're going to say goodbye and say thank you so much to Alex and, of course, Kylie Campbell for joining us here today. We're going to have a couple more of these interviews before the semester ends with other spring sport athletes, and then we'll do one final episode before we go into the summer. I'll bring in, hopefully Casey will make his way over here so we can discuss what the fall is going to look like for an older but great thing that used to be on campus here. We're going to bring it back, hopefully in the fall. We're just going to leave you with that tease. But thank you so much for listening to another episode of Talking Schmidt. We hope that you join us again next time.